This is Joe Wayne, and welcome to the second offering from Joe Wayne's American Horror Stories. Folks, if you like what you hear, if you love being creeped out, then please like and subscribe and share everywhere. And with that being said, the tax collector cometh. Our story opens as Pontius Pilate is overseeing the crucifixion of the one they call Jesus, the Savior of the Jews. The crowd wails with laughter as they mock Jesus. Jesus! Jesus! Where are all of your disciples? Savior of the Jews, this one. And he cannot even find one person to stand up for him. They hurl moldy, stale bread and rotten food at Jesus and continue to taunt him. As they take Barabbas the thief off of the cross, they put Jesus on. Still, they mock him for having no one brave enough to stand for him. But where are all of the disciples that promised they would die for him? Not one was there. Jesus screams, "Father, who art in heaven, why have you forsaken me?" As we move forward through the centuries, stories are told of a hooded figure that comes for those who have slipped out of balance with the planet, as they cherish the root of all evil, our money, above all else, destroying men, women, and families, even nation states, as they greedily scheme to pit one against the other in order to make themselves more money than God, as the saying goes. And when they have gone too far out of balance, they attract the tax collector. And this tax man collects souls like the IRS collects monetary debts due. The rumor was that if you were out of balance and heard a coin drop, then the tax collector cometh to reap your soul as payment for the debts you have accrued in this mortal world, from ruining life after life after life. We now enter the present as one of the world's richest, and in turn one of the most evil men alive, Alexander Yulinov. He has just finished one of his most profitable financial takeovers, putting a collective of 133,000 people from 13 companies out of work on December 21, 2021, just days before Christmas. Yes, Mr. Market Manipulator, as he has been coined by millions of his victims, has been a very naughty boy. Yet he thinks that he will simply buy the silence of any dissenter, as he always does, or simply buy the company for which the dissenter works, then fire all of the dissenters and anyone that they know or may have or might have defended them. Again, just another cost of doing business, as the devil has always done. Mr. Yulinov has outdone himself this time, and he throws himself one of the most expensive parties in recorded history of the planet. To say that it was indulgent, with party favors of all sorts, would be the understatement of the century. "Alexander, come to bed," a trio of wild women call. "I'll be there shortly, but don't start without me." A strange fog starts to roll in, seemingly from nowhere. All of a sudden, the lights go dark as generators kick on in sequence. The 30-man large and very well-trained and paid security staff, made up exclusively of ex-special forces from numerous countries of origin, have a heightened sense of alarm as they encounter a hooded figure in a flowing black robe. One after next, they are literally eviscerated, and some are even emulsified into a mist of blood, bones, and organs. It's a literal bloodbath. Now the hooded figure, having made very quick work of his elite team of killers, turns his sights on Alexander, that is at this time quivering in a corner, and for the first time in his life alone. He hears a coin drop, and as if it were guided by an unseen hand, rolls directly over to Alexander. He picks up the old coin, and being a very educated man, recognizes it to be a 2,000-year-old Tiberius coin, with Tiberius on one side and his mother on the other, Olivia, from the time of Jesus. He gasps as he slowly raises his head upward to behold an ancient Arabic-looking man in a flowing black robe, as if there was a wind that was contained to the man's robe and nowhere else. He promises the hooded figure millions upon millions if he would spare him. Then the hooded figure slowly turns and in an extremely low, raspy voice says, "You have been weighed and balanced and have come up wanting. I am the tax collector, here to collect your black soul for my master." As the tax collector turns, he grabs the hand of Alexander, and in a vision, Alexander sees the tax collector for the mortal man he was before he himself was weighed and balanced. He is taken back to the time of Jesus, to the Last Supper, where he sees a much younger and much more human-looking tax collector. But this cannot be right, because these were the apostles of Jesus. How could an apostle of the Savior of all of mankind be a demonic-looking tax collector? Alexander asked the tax collector in a stammering, broken voice, "Who were you? And who are you, really?" The tax collector responds, "In life, I was an accountant, and yes, a tax collector. I was weighed and balanced by God himself. After I refused to stand for his only begotten Son, yes, I am now, as I was on the earthly plane, an accountant, a tax collector. But you can call me Matthew." Alexander turns ghostly white and questions, "The apostle and Saint Matthew?" The tax collector says, "I used to collect taxes. Now I am doomed to wander the earth and collect souls for an eternity for my act of cowardice and betrayal." And then the earth opens up as the tax collector pulls Alexander, kicking and screaming, straight to hell, where he knows he belongs. So there you go, folks. I hope you were sufficiently creeped out. I would remind you that all stories are the sole property of the mind of the master, that being me, yours truly, Joe Wayne, of Joe Wayne's American Horror Stories. Now, don't forget to like and subscribe. If you indeed like this story, don't forget to hit the bell so you as well can get notified when Season 1, Episode 3 premieres Saturday at 9 p.m. as they always will.